r/AskReddit. For those who have witnessed a wedding objection during the speak now or forever hold your peace portion, what happened? Mom got married to my stepdad. Uncle objected. After the attention was focused on him, he just asked if they were still going fishing afterwards. To which my stepdad reached into his suit and pulled out his fishing hat. Very sweet and romantic. They love to fish together. Rip though. Remind me to upload the video. Wish I could find a cheap way to digitize the VHS to upload it online. Edit. Bought a VHS TV combo from Goodwill. I was working at a wedding when I was younger. I was running the bar at the reception, which was very close to the hall the weddings were at. We were told that the reception would begin around 4 p.m. It was already about 3-ish and I was packing fridges, the usual barman things, while one of the male guests was still sitting there drinking. I asked if he was not joining the reception, to which he replied something along the lines of, "When I have the courage." He downs his drink and leaves. 10 minutes later he's back looking extremely disappointed. Guy orders a drink. And less than 30 seconds later another guy who's dressed extremely well, turned out to be the groom, walks in, punches him in the back of the head, and leaves. This dude just picked his drink up and sipped it further. I eventually found out that this dude had downed his drink. Walked into the receptions down, admitted to sleeping with the wife on her hen night, and again the night before the wedding. He was never invited to the wedding, he just felt the groom needed to know. So he found out where the wedding was, suited up and dropped the info mid-ceremony. The groom deserved to know his bride-to-be was cheating on him. But it seems unnecessarily dramatic to tell him at the wedding of all times. Last chance, I guess. This was in the early 70s in semi-rural Washington state. My cousin was getting married, and my aunt and the mother of the groom did not get along well. During the ceremony, when the pastor got to the part about objecting, my aunt said something to my uncle and the groom's mom jumped up and grabbed my aunt and they started going at it. All the way out the door and into the parking area. They were separated, and everyone filed back into the barn, where the wedding continued. The best part though was when another one of my cousins simply walked into the woods after the wedding because that's where he lived. Story is great, but I'm upvoting that last sentence. The best man at my stepsister's wedding did this. It happened at the rehearsal the night before. It was a very large wedding and the rehearsal was bigger than a lot of weddings. The minister was going over the vows quickly while giving instruction on what to do. When he said something about objections, the best man interrupted, saying he had to put a stop to this. He was in love with the bride and was sure she felt the same way. My sister and everyone else was horrified. It caused plenty of chaos and confusion. As far as I know, after that neither the bride nor groom ever spoke to him again. So worst man. Best worst man. Not, more like worst best man. Best worst best man. The best at being the worst best man. To be fair, I didn't witness this, but it happened to my parents. My mom invited an ex she was still rather close with to her wedding and he stood up and yelled, "I object." Little did everyone at the wedding know, my dad had gotten rather close with him and paid him to stand up and object just for the shits and giggles, and he bursts out laughing. My mom didn't find it as funny and it really started their marriage off on the right foot. All fun and games until the bride responds by gasping, "Oh, insert ex's name, I never stopped loving you." Plot twist, bride had paid the ex as well. It was a medieval-themed wedding. The best man declared his love for the bride, challenged the groom to a fight for her love. They march outside, draw swords, and go at it. Apparently they choreographed 2 nights a week, for like 6 months, but it honestly looked like they were trying to kill each other. The groom wins and everything goes on like normal. 0_oh weird but cool. Edit corrected groomsman to groom. Thanks all. So I'm attending this ultra-chill beach wedding in small-town Canada. I don't know most anyone because it was my ex-step-aunt's, so my brother's family I never see. It was fun anyways. The bride flew in on a seaplane and all the chairs were set up on the sand. Anyways, the groom is from Trinidad and Tobago, so all his relatives traveled a long way and had cool accents. There was a party before, we were all a little bit tipsy. So as the ceremony progresses, everyone is watching, getting teary from the vows. Then the line comes, "Got any reason why these two should not be joined in holy matrimony? Speak now." Nobody expected this. The father of the groom gets up, flailing. And a collective gasp followed by silence overtakes this tiny venue. We're all waiting with bated breath, but he's just standing there with glassy eyes. Turns out he was baked. This 70-plus man in a suit and dreads laughs and says, "No, I kid," and the whole spirit of the audience cheers up as he sits back down. Rest of the reception. People are going up to him saying, "Good one," or scolding him. "Damn good night. Best wedding I've been to." At my cousin's wedding, when the exchanging of vows took place, my aunt shouted, "Wasn't there supposed to be a part where you could object?" or something along those lines. "Aunt, I object." "Minister." "Overruled. Me and my best friend have a pact to be each other's best man, but now I want to get ordained so I can set that up." When I was 13, we went to my second cousin's wedding. Everything is going great. They even got past the speak now or forever hold your peace part. They wrote their own vows, but before my second cousin's fiancé, wife, could even begin her vows, his son got up and announced to the entire room that she was cheating on his dad with her drug dealer and he couldn't let his dad marry her. My second cousin yelled at his son to either sit down or leave. The son left. My second cousin married her anyways. And 5 years and 1 baby later he finds out it was true and they separated, but were tweaked out to be able to afford a divorce. Finally he got married a third time, but before he could get married, his third, now ex-wife, had to pay for their divorce. This wedding had no objections. They moved to Missouri, and this time instead of separating or asking for a divorce, he decided he didn't want to be married anymore and just moved back to Cali to get back together with his second ex-wife. Yet family dinners are a little awkward. Groom's dad interrupted the wedding to ask the bride's father whether or not she was truly a virgin. Then he went on about how he didn't know anything of the wedding and blah blah blah. Truly weird and embarrassing. I was there with an ex-boyfriend. Edit. He is my ex-boyfriend. When the groom's father interrupted the wedding, the bride's father, officiating the wedding, did in fact say it was confirmed. I have no clue how or what. They seemed to be super conservative and wore sleeve dresses, long hair, etc., and were AF American. They eventually showed the father-in-law out and continued with the ceremony, which was super awkward afterwards. It was literally as if I was on Pranked. Said ex seemed to find the ordeal entertaining because she was humiliated. This was his family, bride, and that sort of sealed the deal. Something was wrong with the guy. We broke up a week later. I was best man at a wedding and the groom's older sister decided to play a joke and stood up and said, "I object," then started giggling. Groom's mother stood up, slapped her, told her it was not an appropriate joke and told her to go home. This mother still refuses to talk to her daughter 4 years later. Edit. Well, went to bed and woke up to all the comments. But for those of you asking, it was not the first time this daughter in particular had done something to piss this mom off. And this was the first time I had ever seen this mom hit any of her kids. I have known the family 15 years. I also found out later that the mom had spent over $50K on this wedding. I once went to a wedding where both families were Irish. GF knew them, but I didn't. At the ceremony, the groom's ex-wife started shouting shit and was gently directed outside. I couldn't hear what was said. The reception was amazing, nice venue and all. But a bunch of guests had brought their own instruments and just started jamming what I can only describe as a genuine Irish jig. This went on for hours and remains a lasting memory of oral beauty. But I digress. There was a lot of booze. There was no responsible serving of alcohol, and I'm certain it was by design. At some point, I used the men's room and was curious if I had just seen the groom in a stall, door open, with someone who was not the bride. I didn't know these people and it might have just been someone else, so said nothing. Sometime later in the GF states seriously, we should get going now. Yeah, sure. We grab our shit and head downstairs. I see the suspicious fellow again in the stairwell going to Absolute Town on this same lady. GF grabs my arm tightly and keeps walking past. Mumbles a thank you for the invite. I just smile and follow cause it's all weird. Yep, that was the groom, octopusing his ex-wife. At his own wedding to another woman, the bride genuinely seemed a gem. The look that woman gave us as we passed was this smugly dominant, I always get what I want, F duck, yeah, drunk as duck glare. Wow, they had some reasonable bubbly in a tub for people to take home and who would know or care if we horked a few extras. I got it all explained to me after we were in a cabin well on our way home. I never got a follow-up to that story, but 10 out of 10 on the music. Would tag along to an Irish wedding again. Witnessed this a few months ago. Random guest stood up and proceeded to basically declare his love for the bride and pour his heart out, saying that it should have been him up on the altar that day. Whole room went dead silent. Bride went red with embarrassment and groom went red with anger. Best man promptly called for DJ Per Mega Coulomb to start playing music. All this was in front of the random person's wife. Didn't go down too well. Went to a co-worker's wedding and the maid of honor objected and admitted to being the other woman and that the groom had been cheating with her for months. The bride left in tears and the groom immediately tried to get with the mo, but she told him she wasn't gonna hurt the bride further and that he needs to fuck off. The bride is doing much better and is now a manager here, and I haven't heard from the groom in over a year. The mo and bride are on speaking terms. But I don't think their relationship is gonna ever be what it used to be. I don't know what's shittier. Sleeping with her friend's fiancé or waiting until the middle of his presumably expensive wedding to tell her, and, presumably, in front of a crowd of friends and family. Exactly. Like I'm glad she didn't let the marriage happen because he's a cheater, but could she really not tell her friend before the wedding? Like and subscribe. Like and subscribe. Like and subscribe.